So from the Dollar Tree, you're going to want to grab yourself one of these here hanging wall decor signs. And the reason why it looks like this is because I thought I had hit the record button and I didn't. But no big deal, nothing I can't walk you through really quickly. So to start prepping my board, all I did was I popped off this here spring banner, and it was just attached with a little bit of glue, so it came right off. And then I went ahead and I started taping down some of those polka dots on the board because I wanted to keep them as such. And all I did was tape it off using some of this painter's tape from the tool bench section at Dollar Tree. And then I went ahead and I got my paints together, and I just some gray and white paint. And this is just regular house paint that I get in Home Depot in these little sample containers. And they have lasted me forever, and I use them on a ton of crafts. And so next you're going to want to just cut off that jute rope that was attached to the ears and discard it. Toss your little banner to the side. Keep that for another project. Get yourself some of this wired plain burlap ribbon, as well as some of this lacy ribbon and some of this polka dot wire burlap ribbon, as well as some sandpaper, a pair of scissors, several paintbrushes of your choice, and some paint markers, maybe that's questionable. Next up, I came across this little stand that I had created for another DIY project, and I'm just going to be upcycling it for this craft by tossing a coat of paint onto it. And I just made this using a couple of those tumbling tower game pieces from the Dollar Tree, and this is just their generic knockoff brand of Jenga. And all I really did was I glued 2 rows of 4 on the flat side on the back, and then 2 rows of 4 singly on the top on its side, using a total of 16 tumbling tower game pieces in total. Next, you're going to start taking down some of that glitter and some of the prime targeted areas on this sign, which would be the bow, the ears, the nose, and the little pads on the hands. Those are the areas where it has glitter, and I'm going to be taking it down as such so that the paint will adhere to my board. So here you see me cutting in with some of that paint, trying to get up under that tape as close to the line as possible without causing any seepage. And I'm not going to touch the top portion of this sign. I'm leaving it as such. I'm just going to be painting the bottom, which is why I taped it off. And I'm just going to intricately continue to try my best to get it as close to the edge as possible, continuing on throughout until my board is completely covered. So after giving it the first coat using the brush, it did leave some brush strokes behind, as you can see I'm showing you here. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut in with this sponge brush, giving it a second coat to see if I could erase the brush stroke lines. So as I sit my bunny off to the side to dry, I'm going to prep my little stand and hit it with some of that same color paint that I used on my sign. And this time I'm not going to be concerned about any brush strokes or anything, because once this coat dries, I'm also going to be applying a coat of white paint. I'm going to give it sort of like a dry brush whitewash, and I'm going to want some of this darker color showing through from underneath. And here you see me going over that first coat of the gray using hardly any paint at all on my brush, because I want to make sure to get that darker color to show from underneath. And I'm just going to continue dry brushing all throughout until I achieve the look that I want. So now that I'm done dry dragging that brush onto my stand, the next step is to remove the painter's tape. And so I'm going to be removing it and then touching it up with some of these oil-based paint markers from Sharpie. And I'm going to be cleaning up any spillage or whatever little surprises I have underneath the board after I remove the tape. So here I'm showing you that I'm lifting up the tape, and for some reason this is so satisfying. But it does appear that I am going to be doing some touch up because, as you see, if the camera can pick it up, there is a little bit of blue and black there. So I'm going to try to go over it with the markers and see how that works. So the oil-based marker was too oily and slick on this MDF board, and not only was it sliding, but it was also giving off a yellow tinge. So I'm just gonna go over it with some of that same gray paint that I used on the bottom, and I'm just gonna be very careful just not to make any mistakes because it's no longer taped off, and I'm gonna continue as such until I complete all the touch-up. So here's a look at what we got going on underneath those polka dots that we taped off, and I am very pleased with the results because I love all of that detail that was originally on this board because now it ties in cohesively to the top portion of the signage, and I think it looks amazing. So next I decided that I was going to just freehand the shapes inside the bunny's ears using some of that wired burlap ribbon, and I just cut out the shapes so that I can set it inside the ears. This way it'll camouflage the holes from where the bunny originally hung from. So all that's left to do is just glue it on. And so I'm whipping out my trusty old glue gun, and I'm just going to add a nice generous bead of glue right down the center there and on the sides. And I'm not aiming for perfection here. The main thing is to try to camouflage the little hole from the hangers. And now we'll just repeat the same steps on the other side, just getting around the edge, and just basically tracing the image, and then I'm going to lay my burlap onto that image. So here I'm showing you that I measured out a bow to place on my sign, but I didn't quite put it together yet because I wanted to demonstrate to you how I make my bows. So basically, I just cut a piece of burlap and folded it into thirds, and then I take it and I singe it in the center as such. And then I cut off another little excess piece of that same burlap and fold it into thirds onto itself. And this is going to create that perfect little knot in the center of the bow so that I could glue it down to the board. So now we're just going to add a nice dollop of glue onto that bow that we just created to secure it to the board. And so here you're going to see me fighting with the glue webs and struggling to get it down. But once I win the battle, I just set it down onto the board and hold it for a second to secure it in place. So now I'm just going to glue down these cute little bows that I created using that Dollar Tree lace ribbon, and I just tied it like a regular shoelace and cut it down to size, and I'm going to adhere them to the ears so they could look like little pigtails. So here's what you should be left with now that you glued down your little pigtail bunny bows. And I'm flipping it over so that you could see that this indeed solved the problem that we had with covering up the little hanging holes. And so now all that's left to do is to stick her inside the little stand, and voila, bust down Bunni-Anna. Yes, I'm naming her Bunni-Anna. That's her name. And so Bunni-Anna is just looking lovely with her little bow and her pigtails. And so we just took this from a hanging wall decor sign to a now table stable sign that could stand on its own. So if we learned anything at all from Bunni-Anna is you need not to be intimidated by any of the Dollar Tree wall decor signs. So if you don't have enough wall space in your home to display these signs, you could always upcycle them and turn them from a wall hanging decor to a tabletop decor such as we did here. I hope you enjoyed. So these are the items necessary for the following craft: some wax paper, a paper towel insert, just the cardboard, some nautical rope, a pair of scissors, a pack of these carrot decor pieces, and a trusty old glue gun with some glue sticks, and that's all you're going to need. So to begin with, you're going to cut roughly about 2 to 3 inches from that paper towel insert. And I didn't even measure this. I basically eyeballed it. And then you're going to take it and you're going to wrap that wax paper around it. So you're just going to start at the corner and roll it in like a candy wrapper and then tuck the sides in as such. And that's basically all you're going to do to prep this. Next, we're going to take that nautical rope and we're going to add a dab of glue to the tip so that it doesn't fray. And then we're going to add like a line or a bead of that hot glue onto the wax paper. And we're going to set the nautical rope down and we're going to continue adding glue to it as such. So once you wrap that nautical rope around the entire surface of that little cardboard and you get to the starting point, don't cut it. You're going to just bring it down and you're going to add another bead of glue just like I'm showing you here, and you're going to continue wrapping around I would say about 5 or 6 times until you get to the end of the cardboard. So here you see that I've reached the end and I tried to end it at the same starting point. And so now I'm just going to cut it down right there so that both my tails line up in the same place, if you follow me. And I'm sorry for being temporarily out of frame, but I'm kind of struggling trying to get my scissors through this rope. And so now I'm just going to add some more of that glue to the tip and lay it down flat so that it doesn't fray, and both of my tail pieces are lined up. So this is what you should be left with now that you glue down both sides. And now you see me reaching inside to pull out that wax paper that was shoved in, and so now we're just going to rip that off and we're going to try to get it as close to the edge as possible and trim it down on both sides, and this should allow for easy access to that cardboard insert that we put inside, and you're just going to slide it right out and it comes out with no problem. And now you see me just picking at the rest of that wax paper, but it doesn't matter if you can't get it all out. No one's really going to see the inside anyway because your napkin is going to cover it. And that's it. This is the beginning of your napkin ring. So now all that's left to do is to add your carrots. So now you're going to grab one of those carrots from that 4-pack, and which works out perfectly here because I'm making a table setting for 4, and you're going to be sure to adhere that carrot down where you began and ended the rope. So this way you're sure to cover that up and the rope just looks like it's going continuously around. And so now you're just going to add a nice generous amount of glue right along that seam. And you're going to lay your carrot down as such and press it in place for a few seconds until the glue sets. And there you have it. This is what the little carrot napkin ring holder should look like once it's all said and done. And so now we're just going to do this 3 more times. And just like that, there you have it, the 4-carat napkin ring holders we just created, and I think they turned out great. And here you have a quick overview of Bunni-Anna and the 4-carat napkin ring holders that we just created. I think they turned out great and I hope you like them. And so next up, I'm going to show you just a quick example of how you can put them together. Here's a quick idea of what it would look like on a table setting, and I just like playing with different textures. I laid it out here with the tails pointing to the bottom, but I suppose you can spin it around as well, and it'll kind of simulate bunny ears, if you will. But I kind of like it the other way around. And then I'm just going to show you here that Bunny-Anna is here. Just she's ready to get her eat on, and she's like, "Where's the food?" So if you like these kind of easy, upcycling quick crafts, please don't hesitate to give this video a thumbs up. It'll help my channel out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the way out and tap that notification bell as well so that YouTube will notify you each time I upload. I will talk to you again in my next one. Bye.